and feature breakdowns for NotebookLM.
Yeah, we really dug into the sources for this one.
We did. We are going to explore exactly how it works, who is using it to save hours of their week, and why it is, well, fundamentally shifting the way we learn and work.
Okay, so let's unpack this, because I want to play devil's advocate right out of the gate.
Go for it.
When people hear the word AI, they immediately think of things they are probably already using every day, like ChatGPT or Gemini.
The big ones.
Exactly. So if I already have an AI assistant that can answer my questions, why do I need a separate tool just for my notes? Like, what is the actual mechanism that makes NotebookLM different?
Well, the easiest way to conceptualize the difference is to think about the difference between a massive public library and a private tutor.
Okay, I like that.
So when you ask a general AI a question, it acts like a very eager librarian who has skimmed the entire internet.
Wow, the whole internet.
Yeah, it searches this vast, generalized knowledge base to predict the best answer for you. But because it wants to be helpful, if it doesn't know the exact answer, it might just, guess based on patterns it has seen before.
Right. Which brings us to the elephant in the room with AI, which is hallucinations.
Yes.
For anyone listening who isn't deep into tech jargon, can you just clarify what we mean when we say an AI is hallucinating?
Absolutely. So a hallucination in AI isn't the machine going crazy. Large language models are essentially highly advanced autocomplete engines.
Like on your phone keyboard.
Exactly. They are predicting the next most logical word in a sentence. Sometimes they predict a word or a fact that sounds incredibly confident and plausible, but is completely false.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's making up a confident-sounding lie because its primary goal is to generate a response, not to say, I don't know.
And that is exactly why I would be terrified to upload a massive corporate financial report or, I don't know, a dense biology textbook into a standard AI. I mean, I don't want it predicting what might be in a financial report. I need to know exactly what is in that specific report.
And that is where NotebookLM fundamentally changes the architecture of the interaction. It uses a process that restricts the AI's context window.
Okay, context window.
Yeah, so think of NotebookLM as a brilliant tutor who has been instructed to have selective amnesia for the rest of the internet.
Wait, really? Selective amnesia?
Exactly. You upload your specific documents, your PDFs, your typed lecture notes, your research papers, and the AI is structurally grounded in only those sources.
So it's like a VIP tutor with a photographic memory of my syllabus, but they are completely oblivious to the rest of the universe.
Yes.
If it's not in the documents I provided, they just don't know it.
That is a perfect analogy. And what's fascinating here is why that selective amnesia is so critical for learning.
Right.
By restricting the AI's universe to your uploaded documents, it drastically reduces the chance of hallucinations. It prevents the AI from pulling in outside facts that might be irrelevant, outdated, or just outright incorrect.
Because it's literally fenced in.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It forces the system to cite its sources directly from the text you provided.
That makes a lot of sense. It shifts the AI from being a content creator to a content synthesizer. You are taking away the anxiety of wondering if the AI is just making things up.
Because you can literally click on the citation and see exactly which paragraph of your own document the information came from.
That's amazing. I mean, it takes a process that usually requires 200 pages of manual searching and turns it into a 10-second query.
Right. You're no longer hunting for the needle in the haystack. You're asking the AI to pull the needle out for you and tell you exactly where it found it.
Let me throw a rapid-fire challenge at you listening right now. Which is better for exam revision? Option A, searching through 200 pages manually, or option B, asking an AI to give you the 10 most important points from the document.
I think we both know the winner is B. It literally saves hours.
Exactly. So we've established the mechanics, we've solved the problem of trusting the AI with a structured textbook, but let's look at how this is actually applied in the real world, specifically for students.
Student hacks are huge with this tool.
Yeah, the sources highlight several scenarios, but I want to push back a bit on the depth of this. If I upload a 300-page biology textbook the night before an exam, is it really synthesizing that volume of information, or is it just going to skim the surface and give me generic bullet points?
That depends entirely on how you guide it, which is the beauty of the tool. The sources outline a few highly effective scenarios for exam prep. If you just say, summarize this, you might get a generic overview.
Which isn't great for a college final.
Right. But students are using this for targeted, deep-level revision.
Yeah.
For example, instead of manually reading 50 pages, a student uploads their lecture slides and the textbook chapters and prompts the AI, create a one-page summary focusing specifically on the cellular respiration cycle and contrast it with photosynthesis.
Ah, so you can force it to perform comparative analysis on your own texts.
Yes, exactly.
It's not just summarizing, it's connecting dots across different chapters or different files.
It maps the semantic relationships within your documents. And that leads to the second major student use case, which is active recall.
Oh, like quizzing yourself.
Exactly. Once it understands your syllabus, you can tell NotebookLM, create 20 difficult, multiple-choice questions from these notes.
Wow.
It instantly builds a custom practice test based entirely on the specific material your professor actually taught.
That is incredibly practical. It's building the flashcards for you. But what if you hit a wall entirely? Let's say you're reading the textbook or even the AI's summary,
Yeah.
and it just looks like a foreign language.
The academic jargon is just too dense.
Exactly. What then?
Well, this is where it acts as a true tutor. You can highlight a specific paragraph in your uploaded document and prompt the AI, explain this concept to me as if I am a complete beginner. Or give me a real-world analogy for this theory.
That's brilliant.
It takes that dense, impenetrable academic jargon and translates it into plain language without losing the core factual accuracy of your source document.
You know, there is a great anecdote in the sources that highlights exactly this dynamic.
Oh, the panic one.
Yes, haha. A student is completely panicking, complaining to a friend that they have 300 pages of reading to get through for an exam the next day. The friend tells them to use NotebookLM.
Right.
When the panicked student asks what it actually does, the friend just replies, "It helps you find the important parts before your panic reaches maximum level."
It's a humorous way to phrase it.
Oh.
But if we connect this to the bigger picture, it touches on something deeply psychological.
How so?
Well, panic often comes from a feeling of losing control over the sheer volume of information. The cognitive load becomes too heavy. By allowing you to translate complex text into manageable, targeted pieces on demand, this tool essentially gives you that control back.
That is so true. But here's where it gets really interesting. A textbook or a syllabus already makes sense structurally. It has chapters, headings, and index. What happens when the information isn't structured like a textbook? Because, you know, adults don't get syllabuses anymore.
Very true.
We just get a chaotic mess of disjointed meeting notes, conflicting financial transcripts, and unorganized research briefs. Does the tool break down when the input is chaotic?
That is a crucial distinction. The transition from academic life to professional life means moving from structured data to unstructured data.
Exactly.
But NotebookLM thrives on finding structure in chaos. The sources detail how professionals are utilizing the exact same underlying technology, just applied to different types of friction.
Okay, walk me through a practical workplace scenario. How does a corporate analyst or a project manager actually use this without it getting confused by the mess?
Let's say you're a project manager who just sat through a disorganized 3-hour strategy meeting, and you also have a massive quarterly report from another department.
Sounds like a typical Tuesday.
Right. So you upload the raw, messy transcript of the meeting alongside the formal quarterly report. Your prompt isn't just summarize.
Because that would be too broad.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Your prompt is cross-reference the goals mentioned in the meeting transcript with the financial realities outlined in the quarterly report and highlight any discrepancies or immediate action items.
Wow. So it can flag contradictions across different types of media?
Yes.
That would normally take a human days of highlighting, using sticky notes and staring at 2 monitors to figure out.
Exactly. And for researchers, the stakes are even higher. A medical researcher might upload 5 dense clinical trials. They can prompt the AI to synthesize the similarities in patient outcomes or contrast the methodologies used in each study.
But wait, let me challenge that. If I'm a medical researcher uploading dense clinical trials, is it actually synthesizing that level of complex data reliably, or is it going to give me a superficial skim that misses a crucial footnote about a drug interaction?
This raises an important question about the limitations of the technology. It is highly capable of synthesizing the main text, but it is still an AI. It can misunderstand context or fail to weigh a subtle footnote as heavily as a human expert would.
So it's not foolproof.
No, it will pull the data, and it will cite exactly where it found it. But the researcher still has to verify that the AI's interpretation of that footnote is medically sound. It accelerates the finding of the information, but it does not replace the human judgment required to apply it.
That distinction is vital. It's a research assistant, not the lead scientist.
Exactly.
Speaking of creative application, though, the sources mentioned content creators are using this too. How does an unstructured brainstorming process work with a tool designed to analyze documents?
Well, content creators are uploading their old scripts, random voice memos, disjointed research notes, and transcripts of their previous videos.
So they're just dumping everything in.
Yeah, by putting all their past work into one notebook, they create a localized database of their own brain. They can prompt it to review my last 5 scripts and generate 3 new video ideas that build on those themes but address a new angle.
Oh, that's so smart.
It acts as a brainstorming partner that intimately understands their creative voice because it's literally trained on it.
That perfectly bridges the gap between feeling overwhelmed by your own disorganized thoughts and actually being productive. But everything we've talked about so far involves reading.
Right.
Whether it's summaries, action items, or quizzes, you're still staring at a screen. If the whole point is reducing cognitive load, what happens when you are just too busy or your eyes are just too tired to read another screen?
This brings us to a feature that fundamentally shifts the medium of learning. And it is undoubtedly the feature that surprises people the most.
The audio overview.
Yes.
When I read about this in the sources, I was genuinely floored by the concept. It doesn't just read your notes to you in a robotic voice. It actually turns your uploaded materials into a podcast-style audio discussion.
It is a profound shift in how we consume our own documents. The mechanics behind it are fascinating. It doesn't just use text-to-speech software to read your PDF aloud.
Right, it's not just a robot reading text.
No. First, an AI analyzes your documents and writes a conversational script based on the key themes.
Yep.
Then, it uses advanced audio models to generate a discussion between 2 AI hosts.
Wow.
They banter, they use natural pauses, they express surprise, and they explain your dense material as if they are hosting a deep dive podcast about it.
The irony is certainly not lost on me that we are currently hosting a deep dive audio discussion about a tool that generates deep dive audio discussions.
It is very meta.
It really is. But the utility is undeniable.
Think about the mobility of information. You can upload your dense study notes for a law exam or a dry 50-page marketing report, generate the audio overview, and listen to it while you are walking the dog, commuting on the train, or exercising at the gym.
That's incredible.
It takes information that historically required you to be chained to a desk, staring at paper, and makes it completely ambient and mobile.
It leverages the way humans naturally learn through conversation and storytelling rather than rote memorization. It meets you exactly where you are. Okay, so at this point, the value proposition is clear. If someone listening wants to try this out today, they need to know how to navigate it without hitting the common pitfalls.
Yes. The beginner mistakes.
The sources provide a beginner's guide, but I want to focus specifically on where people get it wrong. Let's briefly touch on the setup and then dig into the mistakes.
The setup is intentionally minimal. You open the NotebookLM interface, create a new notebook, which is essentially a dedicated folder for a specific project or class, and then upload your materials.
Like PDFs, text files, copied web links.
Exactly. Once the universe of documents is uploaded, you begin the interaction phase.
And that interaction phase is exactly where the wheels fall off for a lot of first-time users. I'm looking at the notes on common beginner mistakes, and they reveal a lot about our deeply ingrained habits with technology.
They really do.
Mistake number 1, expecting magic without providing direction.
This is a classic issue stemming from our reliance on search engines like Google. People are used to typing a single keyword and getting a result. They upload a complex legal document into NotebookLM and just type the word help or explain. The AI is looking at 50 pages and doesn't know what you care about. You have to learn the art of prompting.
Right, it's a tutor, not a mind reader. If you sit down with a tutor and slide a book across the desk and say, help, they are going to ask you what you are struggling with.
Exactly.
You need to say, explain the breach of contract clause on page 4 and tell me if it applies to independent contractors.
Precisely. The more specific the prompt, the more valuable the synthesis. And that leads directly to mistake number 2, the one-question window.
Oh, I do this all the time.
People will upload a document, ask for a summary, get the summary, and then close the application. They treat it as a one-and-done transaction.
Which completely defeats the purpose of an interactive interface. It has a chat window for a reason. You are supposed to interrogate the material. If the summary's too dense, you tell it, make this shorter. If the concept is abstract, you ask, give me 3 real-world examples of this theory. You can ask it to format the output into a table or pull out quotes. The real power is in the dialogue, pushing the AI to refine the information until it clicks in your brain.
And engaging in that dialogue requires a level of critical thinking, which brings us to mistake number 3. This is perhaps the most critical warning in all of the source material.
Blind trust.
Blind trust.
We touched on this earlier with the medical researcher example, but we really need to drill down on the stakes here. Grounding the AI in your documents reduces hallucinations, but it does not eliminate the AI's capacity to misinterpret human language.
Exactly. This raises an important question about our relationship with AI as a society. We have a tendency to view machine output as inherently objective and flawless.
Because it's a computer.
Right. But AI doesn't understand the text the way a human does. It maps mathematical relationships between words. Imagine a law student who uses NotebookLM to summarize a case file, and the AI misses a subtle double negative in a crucial testimony.
Oh, wow.
If the student blindly pastes that summary into their final essay without verifying the citation, they aren't just lazy, they are fundamentally wrong.
The stakes can be incredibly high. It is a powerful assistant, but you are still the pilot. You always have to double-check the math, verify the citations, and apply your own critical judgment.
Absolutely.
When you do that, though, the results are transformative. There is one more funny exchange from the sources that perfectly captures the user experience once it finally clicks.
Let's hear it.
So, a student uploads 80 pages of chaotic notes. They ask the AI to summarize them, then they ask it to create a quiz, and then they spend an hour having the AI explain all the difficult topics they didn't understand in class. Finally, the student just types into the chat box, "Where were you during my last exam?"
It perfectly encapsulates the paradigm shift. Once you experience that level of customized, instantaneous assistance, the idea of manually highlighting a textbook for hours feels archaic.
It really does. So as we wrap up this deep dive, let's synthesize the core value proposition. What is the ultimate takeaway from this stack of sources?
If we distill everything down, NotebookLM is essentially a hybrid tool. It's a document organizer, an active revision assistant, and a podcast generator, all unified by the concept of a restricted context window.
Right.
But the overarching golden rule from all the sources is this. NotebookLM does not replace the act of studying. It removes the friction of information gathering, allowing you to study smarter by turning your static materials into an interactive dialogue.
Removes the friction. I love that. So here is my challenge to you listening right now. Think about that one messy, terrifying PDF or that chaotic folder of project notes you have been avoiding all week. Go upload it into NotebookLM.
Do it today.
Don't just ask for a summary. Try forcing it to do some heavy lifting. Ask it to find contradictions. Or have it explain the most complex paragraph to you like you're a beginner. Experience the mechanics for yourself.
Testing it with your own data is the only true way to understand how it changes your workflow.
So what does this all mean for the long-term future? Because I was thinking about this while preparing for this deep dive. If we now have an AI that can perfectly summarize, connect, cross-reference, and even generate a podcast from our disorganized, messy notes, does this fundamentally change how we should take notes in the first place?
Oh, that's an interesting thought.
Right. Think about it. We usually take notes to trigger our own memory. We worry about formatting, bullet points, making it readable for our future selves. But in the future, will we start writing notes for ourselves and start writing notes specifically optimized for our AI to read and process?
That is a profound philosophical shift. We might completely abandon the aesthetic organization of information. You could just brain dump raw, unstructured text, knowing that the AI will build the structure for us later. It shifts the human burden entirely from organizing information to simply generating it.
It really changes the entire cognitive load of being a knowledge worker or a student. Something heavy to mull over while you're uploading that dreaded PDF. Well, that is it for our deep dive today. Remember, the next time you are staring down a 100-page document and your eyes start to glaze over, your AI study partner is ready and waiting to help you conquer it.
Until next time, keep questioning your sources, keep engaging with your material, and don't let the volume of information intimidate you.